Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, the invocation of the Emergencies Act for the first time in Canadian history is a damning indictment on the failure of this Prime Minister to address the situation. The Prime Minister once said, I quote, "When a government asks its citizens to give up even a small portion of their liberty, it is not simply enough to say, trust us. That trust must be earned, it must be checked, and it must be renewed." These are his words. Canadians do not trust this Prime Minister. When will he stop undermining Canadians' rights and start renewing Canadians' trust?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians can trust that this government will always follow the science and the best evidence to get us out of this pandemic, and that includes getting vaccinated, Mr. Speaker. And contrary to what my colleague says, this is an illegal blockade. This illegal blockade is not about the vaccines or the mandates. It's about a very small, organized group who are trying to upend our way of life, Mr. Speaker. Now, we've made progress. We've seen the Ambassador Bridge reopened. We've seen Coots reopened. We've seen Surrey reopened. And, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, yes, we invoked the Emergencies Act so that we can secure that progress and give law enforcement all of the tools they need. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sturgeon River Parkland.
Well, we'll see if the Prime Minister answers this one. Every opportunity he has had to de-escalate this situation in Ottawa and around Canada, he has chosen to hide, to confront, and to escalate. His divisive conduct has been a lesson in abject failure. Blockades should come down. They are already coming down across this country. But now the Prime Minister has invoked the Emergencies Act to punish Canadians who, in his words, hold unacceptable views. Why is the Prime Minister punishing Canadians for their political views?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Ago that the former Conservative leader, now the member for Regina Capel with the Conservative Party, said the following: "These protesters, these activists, may have the luxury of spending days at a time at a blockade, but they need to check their privilege. They need to check their privilege and let the people whose jobs depend on the railway system and small business and farmers do their jobs." And what have they said now in this context from the beginning? As swastikas flew, as Confederate flags flew, they went out and they gave coffee. They took pictures. They have absolutely the opposite of responsible leadership. Instead of de-escalating, they escalated at every turn.
Can we go on? L'honorable député. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all want the blockade outside Parliament to end quickly and peacefully. The inaction of this government has forced them to play catch-up and to impose emergency legislation. They would do well to learn from the premiers who have managed to control the demonstrators without special legislation. Will the Prime Minister promise not to use his emergency powers in the many provinces opposed to them? Mr. Speaker, it was the former leader of the Conservative Party, the member for Regina Capel, who said that it was unacceptable to have demonstrations blocking critical infrastructure. And what is the Conservative Party doing today? Today, the Conservative Party is taking selfies and encouraging tweets. That's not responsible, what they're doing. It's completely irresponsible. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, it's the government. They're the ones who are irresponsible. I'll repeat my question, and I would invite the leader to listen to the question. PEI, New Brunswick, Alberta, Quebec, they're not interested in public health measures. They're sick and tired of them. The government should not require the provinces to suffer under these public health measures, these restrictions. The Honourable Government House Leader. That's so irresponsible. We have a duty, all of us here have a duty to protect Canadians. It's not just on our duty on this side of the House of Commons. And I want to make it clear, It's time to stop the tweets and the encouragement of people demonstrating outside. It is time to take reasonable steps, reasonable action, and it's time for the Conservative Party to act responsibly.